Hello and welcome to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Well, there's only one subject of discussion these days, and that is demonetization. Is it a good move? Is it a bad move? Is it been implemented well? Should the Prime Minister speak on it? Should the opposition not oppose it so much? Well, to debate all this, we have with us on the roundtable, we have Mr. Gurcharan Das. He's an economist and author. Mr. KTS Tulsi, Supreme Court advocate and also Rajya Sabha member. Ashok Malik, he's a columnist and an author. And of course, Ashok Tandon, he's political analyst and also he's been the media advisor with Atal Bihari Vajpayee's PMO. Mr. Das, since you're the only official economist on the panel, today of course everybody is an economist, but what is your takeaway? How could it have been implemented better? What would you have done?
Yeah, well, I think we've really got to look forward. The situation, it's a bad situation. And there are some steps that the government can take now on an emergency basis in order to save demonetization. In other words, demonetization is really, for the fact is, despite what anybody may say, the long term, it's good that India should move to a modern white economy, and so on. So, to save the situation, I would say currently the top priority is to bring back liquidity.
Yes.
Exchange notes as fast as possible. There's a shortage of notes. And so instead of just printing them in our own presses, let's subcontract several friendly governments like the United States, Switzerland, who have very high levels of security, very high quality, and they can bring these notes to us within 48 hours and flood the banking system with the notes so that the shortage disappears. The second step, I think, would be to bring back the amnesty scheme. The reason for that is that today you have created a fear psychosis in the country, particularly in the entire business class. Whether somebody has got white money or black money, you've created that as almost a paralysis in the business world. And so it's much better to treat these people, not demonize them. I mean, they should not be told this is a dharma yuddha. This is in fact a way to move into a modern economy. And so before the amnesty did not work because it was purely a carrot.
Right.
Now we have the stick wielded by Mr. Modi. So between the carrot and the stick, I think we'll have much better response if they extend the amnesty scheme, and you will get compliance. Maybe earlier it was a 45% tax. Now you could take it up to 50% because you don't want the previous guys to feel that they lost out. So take it at 50%. But this is still better because you see, here you can convert your black money to white money. If you do it with a broker, the brokers today giving you a discount between 30 and 40%.
Correct.
You still get black money for black money. Here you go black money to white money. So you can sleep well.
And let the government earn out of it and not the broker.
The government can earn out of it. An alternative to this would be you can have a bond, a low yield, long-term bond. And some people, then if you want to convert all your black money into white money, let them do it. Okay. The main point I'm trying to make is that you have to treat the producing class, you have to treat them in such a way that with a carrot and stick, that these people have to get on back with their work. They are the ones who are going to create jobs.
Correct.
And you don't want to make them totally into pariahs.
And they're not all scamsters. Also.
And they are not all scamsters,
Correct.
Obviously.
Mr. Tulsi, Mr. Das spoke about this fear psychosis. We also heard rumors about the 200% penalty. Now we are told the cabinet has approved a proposal. They're going to amend the tax laws where they're going to tax 30% tax for the money deposited after 8th November and an additional 30% penalty. Can they do it? Legally, can they do it? Can they come with a post facto amendment?
I don't think retrospective tax is going to be permitted. India was in serious trouble when the Vodafone case was decided, and then retrospective tax, and even the present finance minister has not said it in so many words that retrospective tax will not come. So if they are thinking of retrospective tax, I think it's going to create a serious problem. And I want to say that there is already a serious problem to the demonetization notification.
Legal problem.
Yes, constitutional problem, because I have all the three versions of the RBI Act, which was adopted in 1934, and that said that on the recommendation of CBDT, etc., series of banknotes of any denomination shall cease to be legal tender. Now, when in 1956 demonetization took place, they were advised that you cannot demonetize the entire currency of a particular denomination under the existing section 26. So therefore 26A was added, which said that no bank note of the denominational value of 500 rupees, 1000 or 10,000 issued before 13th January 1946. So it was specific. There was a legislative enactment to enable the government to demonetize all the notes of particular denominations. Then when Mr. Morarji Desai wanted to do this in 1978, he was also told that under existing section 26 you can't do it. And he brought a special act which was called High Denomination Bank Note Demonetization Act 1978. And in that also they said that on the expiry of 16th day of January 1978, all high denomination banknotes shall, notwithstanding anything in 26, cease to be legal tenders. So this was a special law that was enacted through legislature. I have serious doubts that they will be able to maintain the notification on the authority of existing section 26 alone.
Okay.
And in that case it may go lock, stock and barrel.
You mean they will roll back? So Ashok, there's there's economic problems, there are legal problems, and Kapil Sibal and the Congress have challenged this in court also, which we are told on 2nd December the court will hear. So politically, what is upfront for the government?
I would be surprised, frankly, if the court
goes
back and sort of rolls back demonetization. That would cause even greater upheaval. I'm sure the court will be cognizant of that, even given the fact that the Chief Justice is not well disposed towards
the government on this, that's also...
That's the matter we'll deal with then.
Okay.
I just want to bring up this issue of retrospective tax. I don't think, my understanding, what has been proposed is a retrospective tax. My understanding is that if you make a substantial cash deposit after November 8th, which cannot be explained by your sources of income, then you are charged just as it becomes in effect a black money amnesty scheme. You were charged 45% till 30th September. Mr. Das has recommended 50%.
It has to operate prospectively. You can't say from 8th November. That's retrospective.
No. If you deposit cash from 8th November, on 8th November onwards, and that cash cannot be explained by your previous income tax returns, which are obviously there in the past. It's not, and that will be deemed as money which has not been declared. And be taxed at 60%, because Mr. Das has recommended...
It has to be taxed at the rate which was in force on that date, on the date of deposit.
And not on this new rates.
But then how did you charge 45% for the amnesty scheme?
But that was announced before.
No.
So anyway, I think let's not get hung up.
The scheme came earlier, the deposits came later.
Well, I'm sure the government will deal with that legal niggle at some stage, but I think in effect this is becoming a black money amnesty scheme at a higher rate.
So what Mr. Das has been saying.
So exactly.
So
for future deposits you can do it.
I think the more important question is, there are two questions. One, the execution has been ham-handed. For example, I cannot understand why in retrospect 2000 rupee notes were introduced, because they are serving no purpose. Lots of people have 2000 rupee notes and they are not being able to spend it.
Okay.
And printing these 2000 rupee notes has caused this delay in calibrating and reconfiguring ATM machines, which was not necessary. All you needed were new 500 rupee notes of the same size for the moment. Later on you could have changed the size, you could have introduced 2000 rupee notes, 1500 rupee notes, whatever. Second, there are 2 or 3 benchmarks. Despite all this pain, there are 2 or 3 benchmarks against which the government will be measured. the total value of high denomination notes in the market was 14 lakh crores. 7 lakh crores has come into the formal banking system so far till yesterday, till the 23rd. Now, the government believes or has been arguing that between 1 to 2 lakh crores will be extinguished and will represent the black money available there in the system. Should that happen, it will be a victory for the government. Should that not happen, the government will have some explaining to do. That's one. Second,
Ashok, I think just that's on the same point, the money, the victory will, in my view, be real if they use that 2-3 lakh crores, which is extinguished and which is black money that's not returned. That can be should be used as a stimulus.
Yes.
Stimulus for creating jobs through infrastructure,
I think
housing,
that
etc.
probably is the plan.
that is the plan. They're talking about low-cost housing and irrigation projects, for instance, which are all for the good. The second thing is, the second key test for the government is that for a large economy, India has an unusually high cash to GDP ratio of about 12%. I know some countries go even higher, but India has a 12% GDP ratio, which the government in one fell swoop, one big move, wants to reduce by early next year to 7 to 8%. Now, that's a big bang achievement if it happens. That again will be a big test. So we'll have to see the cash to GDP ratio in January or February. And if it is substantially below 12%, then again the government can declare victory. If it is not, then again the government has a lot of explaining to do.
Okay. Mr. Tandon, the political fallout of this decision.
See, in this whole debate, we should not lose sight of certain things. Number one, the fact remains that there has been a lot of black money in this country, which nobody denies. Second, that this government has come to power on the promise that they will try to eradicate the black money, both inside the country as well as outside.
But is this the right
No,
way to do it?
when they started taking steps to bring in the black money which is stashed outside, I remember there was demand from various quarters, including the opposition. What about the black money stashed inside the country? Now, when this step has been taken, nobody is questioning that this is a right step.
Correct.
Everybody agrees across the board, including opposition parties, barring a Samajwadi Party or maybe Mayawati.
Mamata
But the
Banerjee.
Congress, by and large, has said we are not opposed to the step as such.
Yes.
Now, the thing is, we have a very vibrant press in this country. The media is very vigilant. Now, when problems are arising, the media is highlighting those problems. The concerns of the people are being taken care of by the media, and the government is now trying to plug all those loopholes and, address the concern of the people by taking a lot of measures which unfortunately are being dubbed by the opposition as something like a weakness, which is not.
But it shows that it's not well thought of,
No, that,
Yeah,
see,
but I would say that there's a lot of confusion, and one of the things people think demonetization is some kind of nirvana. It's not. It is really a one step, and the black money will continue to be generated unless you attack the sources which create black money. For example, what are these sources? One is gold. Gold is a place where it goes. Now, after 91, actually, India had moved in the right direction by removing gold controls and a vibrant market for gold and jewelry, a white market with credit cards, checks you could pay. And this process went backwards in 2013 when we brought customs duty back on gold. And after that, you had two gold markets suddenly operating, and black money started going into gold. Now, we must immediately remove this customs duty if we want to become a modern nation without black money. Second, real estate. Real estate is a great creator of black money. And here, it's the stamp duty. The stamp duty in India is ridiculously high. And Kelkar, Vijay Kelkar in that legendary report on GST said that why don't you merge stamp duty into GST, which was a terrific idea. And you could, but It didn't happen. Anyway, we shouldn't look. Now it's too late. But we've got to fight for a sensible stamp duty and a proper property tax, proper titling within in this sector.
The next steps, they're saying they're going to look at the real estate and.
Yeah, and so therefore, I think there are other things. For example, the key creator of black money is the bureaucracy.
Yes.
And unless you know.
Political parties.
And political parties. But let's
Yeah,
take
that's a good
bureaucracy.
point,
First, we'll take bureaucracy. Now, bureaucracy, Sri Krishna report, just take that report and implement the 91 things that they are said in the report. You'll reduce significant creation of black money.
Okay, we need to
through
take
the
a break, but we'll
bureaucracy.
come back and talk about how else can we reduce the source of black money really, but after a quick break. Welcome back to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. We are here discussing the impact of demonetization. Before the break, Mr. Tulsi, we also were discussing how political parties funding, that is one thing that also needs to be looked at. What next after demonetization?
You see, demonetization, of course, doesn't attack the black money. We can't assume that all cash is black. The entire agriculture sector, it trades in cash, and there is no income tax, so therefore any cash in the hands of an agriculturist cannot be assumed to be black. I feel that there is a fundamental law that if a son commits a crime, the father can't be punished. If the father commits a crime, the son can't be punished. If the husband commits a crime, the wife can't be punished. And here for 1%, the black money may be in the hands of less than 1% of people.
The entire population.
And 99% are punished without any fault of theirs. The entire organized sector has been punished. Unorganized sector, they get their wages in cash.
Right.
And they are daily wages, they are laborers, they are agricultural workers. How do you punish them and paint them with the same brush that every cash is black?
No, but there is a flaw in this argument. See, on the one hand, we say that we have to act against black money. When you act actually...
But is this the right way?
No, the thing is, the demonetization has opened window for people to deposit their cash in banks. So it's not everybody is being punished.
You are shocking and awing the entire public, entire
there are
country.
Two things here. One, I think we should stop debating whether demonetization is right or wrong, because
It's
it's
done.
an act.
It's done.
It's a done deal.
Okay.
Exactly.
What we should be discussing is actually remonetization of the economy as quickly as possible, and what lies ahead. India's always had black money. There's no question of that. Going back to Mohammed bin Tughlaq, actually, we've had black money since then. But the fact is, the current spurt in black money also has immediate economic roots. Between 2003 and 2011, India's GDP grew at 8.3%. I'm not trying to make this political at all. I'm not attacking any party.
Right.
It's a systemic problem. This saw a boom in real estate and in resources, which generated a lot of black money. So black money stocks at the moment are at a historic high. Going forward, I think they will be much more moderate, though they will still be black money. They'll be moderate because, frankly, the sort of real estate boom or the ugly boom we saw in the early 2000s, I think is behind us. The real estate market is much more moderate today and is likely to remain so. Anyone who's been hoarding cash from real estate deals will now be deterred, because there's a risk of further demonetization by a future government or maybe this government. Second, the impetus towards a less cash economy is much stronger. Anecdotal evidence suggests that a lot of people are suffering. Anecdotal evidence also suggests that a lot of people who voluntarily live outside the banking system.
But till you get literacy,
just a moment, sir.
Are going in an illiterate society, how do you have cashless?
250 million bank accounts, Jan Dhan Yojana accounts, that translates to over 1 billion people now. This myth people are talking about.
73% zero balance
Yeah,
or
but,
1 rupee
but
balance.
they have the money. They have an account.
But they
accounts
can't
now.
operate it
But
because
why
they're
can't they?
illiterate.
No, but
That's not true. They're not all illiterate.
How
you know,
is it-
please don't
Don't
treat
insult
the
people.
Indian. You're insulting the
If you can
Indian.
use a phone, you can-
person.
you operate a
Person
bank
can
account.
has a mobile phone. He can use
Mobile-
that. A person has a mobile phone,
Yes.
right? That means he's not an idiot. He can talk to his family. He can punch numbers, make a number. So
He can
I
buy a
think
prepaid card
Yeah.
for his phone.
So,
Why can't he operate a bank account?
More than 50% people are outside the banking service.
This is a
I
myth.
don't agree, sir.
Sir, this is
250
a
million
myth.
Jan Dhan accounts.
This was the
4
old-
members of family.
Yeah.
3 members of a family. That's 750 million straight away.
Yeah. So anyway, you know, I think
This is the Latvians'
as we were
performance
saying,
that
let's
people, outside the banking system.
let's look forward.
Huh.
Let's
I
look
like the
forward as Ashok
remonetization
said.
angle, huh?
No, so the looking forward, I think what are the areas that create black money? What can we plug those?
Plug
you know,
those, that's right.
And
That-
what
those
you
should
mentioned,
have been plugged earlier.
You said one of the ideas is the political parties. Now, I think that's a brilliant idea. But most people's gut reaction is, let's have state funding for elections. Europe has gone that way. I would not want a dirty politician using my hard-earned money in a family fiefdom of a political party using it. I think the whole of India would rebel at this thought that political parties are using our hard-earned taxes. So I think, however, they're the best practices in the world. Europe, United States. United States has not done it perfectly, but it has brought this curb that we have. It's an unrealistic curb limit that we have of white money going to a political party. It should be, you should be able to write a check to a political party.
Make it open, transparent.
Make it
Yeah.
open, transferable. Bring these best practices and really reform election funding. That will go a long way in reducing.
Does that work for
Don't
you?
you agree with that?
Of course, election funding, and I believe that instead of punishing the entire population and creating a terror in the society, even today I feel that 50 days that the Prime Minister wants people to cooperate is too long a period. People are dying. Some steps need to be taken immediately to
No, we've agreed on
ameliorate
this that
their...
it could have been handled better.
Yeah.
The step,
Let's-
whether good or
let's
bad,
move
is the next
forward.
step forward. Quick last word from you. You know, especially about what he said about the political parties. You know, how should people be
No,
paid by
I
check?
think if Mr. Modi is serious about going after black money, as he says he is, then gold, real estate, especially multiple real estate
Yeah, go
holdings
after that.
under proxy names, Benami names, and frankly, political funding and political funding reforms. These three have to be on his agenda.
Okay.
If this demonetization is just a one-off, then obviously it's a failure.
But it's
in terms
also
of
not
tackling
enough.
black money,
Because
but
only
he has to
5%
take-
cash is...
He has
is-
to take it. He has to take it forward and fulfill all of the other, take all the other steps.
Okay. Last word from you. quickly.
I don't think political parties in India will be willing to have some kind of a check on them because they are free from the tax net. Now, political parties, what they are trying to do now is give the money back to their workers, telling them to deposit it back in the party fund,
That's
which
how-
again is not taxable. So therefore, its first step should come from the political parties, and they should all unite to curb this. But I don't think, I'm afraid, the political parties by and large are not in favor of curbing this
But
money,
if
the
Mr.
whole
Modi
money plays
is a
in election.
disruptor and an insurgent, he has to make the man who's queuing up suffer. He also has to make his political party colleagues suffer.
So then
Right.
people won't
And-
feel so bad. But
and
Mr.
so
Raj,
I-
it's just out of time now. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, we just have to end. So we'll call you again. I'm sure we're going to be discussing this next week as well. But that's it from now. Thank you for watching this roundtable. We'll see you again same time next week.